Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with the last video for a video a day for the month of August. And I decided to do what I read in August because today's August 31st and I don't think I'll finish another book. I might, but if I do it'll be like after midnight anyway, so it'll be September 1st. So I decided to do what I read in August because I mentioned before that when I do projects like this, I have to do it right in a row or it just doesn't get finished. So I figured at the end of every month, I'm going to do it right away, all the books that I read. So as you saw, this was a brand new edition. I've had it for years. It just wasn't open. It's the strawberry edition. So I decided to open it up, and up to now, I've read 11 books in the month of August. I've printed all the photos directly from Goodreads, and then I've already stamped out my little books, and I've already also stamped or rubbed on the numbers for the number of books that I read for this month. Just if you're curious, my last book was book 83, so it went from 73 to 83. So I've read 11 books in the month of August. Now that I have my strawberry edition open, I did choose a couple of 4x6, and I'll later choose which one I want to use as to write down my TBR for August. And then I lay out all my pictures in the order that I read them, and then I go through all the cards. This takes a little bit of time, but I find that if you do everything sort of in bulk, I seem to be going through this a whole lot faster than I did. I think like when I first started doing like January and February, it was taking me about 2 hours to get an entire month done. And this took me an hour and 15 minutes to get everything done. So, I mean, I've been printing the pictures. As soon as I have two, I print it off right away. That way I don't have to print, 10 or 12 pictures all at once. And then I choose all the 3x4 cards, and then once that's done, then I go and glue down the pictures and add my little books with the numbers. Now when I go through the cards, I look at the picture and kind of see the tones in the picture, and then I try to find cards that kind of coordinate with it. Now I limit myself to the box that I took out, because otherwise I don't want this. I mean, this is a really fun project, but I don't want it to be something that I have to spend hours and hours every month getting it done, because I definitely won't get it done if I do it that way. But if it's something that I can, get done in 1 hour, a month done in an hour, I know I will keep up with the rest of it. Now, once I have all the cards chosen, I decide on this blue one here. I went to get some puffy stickers, and I'm just going to write down August TBR. And at this point, I'm not going to write down the books, because the journal that I have, my dot journal that I have all the books written in, was downstairs, and I didn't want to make the 15th trip downstairs, because every time I started, I was forgetting something and I had to go back downstairs. So I just decided to just go ahead and get the cards done, do the journaling, and then I'll write down my TBR next time that I work on this, or maybe tomorrow I'll find a minute to get that done. Now that that's done, I'm going to glue down all the pictures on the card that I chose for the background, and I'm going to put the number of the book on the picture, and then that way I don't have to worry about the cards or the pictures getting out of order, because I want to put the books in my album in the order that I read them. So by putting down my little books with the numbers right away, I know that I don't have to worry. It's going to be in the order. And like I said, doing everything in a bulk form, it seems to come together a whole lot quicker. Now that those are all done, I just pile them up one on top of the other, and then I start adding a little bit of embellishments. I did grab 4 sticker books, and most of them are for planners, but they're perfect for something like this, just to add a flower sticker, a heart sticker, a few arrows, and then of course I have my 5-star rating for each card. So this time around, I'm just going to each card, I'm adding a little bit of embellishment, and I'm adding the star rating. And I'll go through all the cards and get those all done. Once all the decorations is done, or all the embellishments, then I'll go through it, and you'll see that in a little bit, and I'll color in the star ratings. And then once all that is done, then I'll go through and do my journaling from one book to the other. And I found even keeping the journaling so that it's all together, it really helped, because the same principle as when I do a layout, I find that stopping and doing journaling and doing the embellishment and doing the journaling again, it's kind of slowing me down. But by doing everything in bulk, including the journaling, I went through this a whole lot easier, and it was easier to write down sort of a little blurb about the book. So now let's talk about the books that I read in August. So the first one was called Sea Witch by Sarah Henning, and I gave that book a 4.5 star. And basically this is sort of a retelling of The Little Mermaid, but it's about how Ursula came to be. So how the witch Ursula came to be. Oh, it was so good. I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed that story, and I can probably see that as a book that I'm going to read again. Now, the second book that I read this month was The Enchanter Heir. That was the 4th book in the Heir Chronicles, and that's by Cinda Williams-Chima. And it's a 5-book series, and it has to do with warriors and witches, and the battle between all of them, and it was so good. I rated this one a 4.5. This was the 4th book in the series. And the characters in book 1 are in book 2, but you follow different main characters in each book and their story. It's absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to start her next series next year. Now, the next book I read was My Plain Jane, and that was by Cynthia Han, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. And that is a funny retelling of Jane Eyre, and it has ghosts in it. And the funny thing is Charlotte Bronte, who's the writer of Jane Eyre, is actually in the book, and she's Jane Eyre's best friend. And it was so cute. I really loved it, and I gave it 4 star. The next book I read was Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix, and I gave it 5 stars. I just put on the card that I saw the movie the first time reading the books, but I saw the movies years ago, and even though I did, this is like the first time for me, and I'm totally enjoying it because there's a lot of stuff that I don't remember. The next book I read is The Sorcerer Heir, and that's the 5th and final book in the Heir Chronicles by Cinda Williams-Chima. And it was an amazing finale to that series, and I can't recommend it more. The next book is called My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick, and it's about it's a contemporary story about the boy next door and his family. And they're loud, and there's a lot of them. And the girl next door, her mom's a politician, and she's an only child, and it's just the difference in their lives. And it was such a good story. I totally enjoyed it. Oh, and The Sorcerer Heir, I gave 5 stars, and My Life Next Door was a 4.5 stars. Now, the next book I read was also a contemporary, Young Jane Young. And this is all about a young lady who got involved in a political scandal and how it affected her whole life. Like years later, it's still affecting her. And this is an adult contemporary, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. And this was by Gabrielle Zevin, and I read from her, the first book I read from her was The Storied Life of A.G. Fickery, and I that book was a 5-star read for me, and this one was a 4-star, but it was still a good read. It was so interesting, and I flew through it like in no time at all. Now, the next book is The Martian by Andy Weir, and that is about a mission to Mars that goes wrong, and one of the astronauts gets stranded on Mars, and he has to find ways to survive for not just like a week, but it's for years, because he has no way to communicate to Earth that he's alive. And so his only hope is that there's another Mars mission like 4 years from the date that he's been left on the planet. So he's got to find ways to survive for over 4 years. And it's such a good story. I absolutely loved it. That was a 5-star rating, and I immediately bought the movie, and I'm going to watch the movie. Now, the next book is called This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. And this is, every time there's a crime that is committed, there's a monster is created, and it's about a boy, August, who's a monster who just wants to be human, and about a girl named Kate who is human, and all she wants is to be a monster. And super good. I gave it 5 stars. That was my first Victoria Schwab book. And Victoria Schwab, she has sort of 2 pen names. Victoria Schwab is when she uses it when it's a young adult novel, and when she uses V.E. Schwab, then it's an adult book. And so this was a young adult, and it's a duology, and I can't wait to read the second book. Like, I just didn't want to read anything else, and I wanted to read the second book right away, but I kind of stopped myself and read the books that I had put on my TBR for August. And then the next book is called The Rose Society by Marie Lu, and that is the second book in the Young Elite trilogy. And that is about some kids that, when they were younger, there was this fever, and then some of them ended up with some powers. And the society that they're in, they don't look at them as, you know, the new Avengers or anything like that, and they try to get rid of them. The last book that I read this month is called On the Island by Tracy Jarvis Graves, and this book I read in 24 hours, and it's about a teacher and a student that they're on their way to a summer home that his parents rented for the summer, and he fell behind in school because of he had cancer. And I think the reason that it sort of spoke to me a lot, that book, was he had Hodgkin's disease, and that's the cancer that I had when I had cancer when I was 25. So right off the bat, like within the first few pages, I was like, oh, I'm going to love this book. And within the first page, you know that they are going to crash on this island. And she's like 30 and he's 16, and they are stranded on the island for almost 4 years. So, and it's the story of them being on that island and what they had to do to survive. It was such a good story. Now that's it. That's going to complete August. Now, if you weren't aware, I just released my second scrapathon, where it's going to be a video a day for the entire month of September, but it's going to be some layouts every day where a new challenge is going to be issued every day, and it starts tomorrow. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. If you're enjoying these videos, if you wouldn't mind, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.